In this video, we're going to go over slicers in Power BI. A slicer is a user filter that can be changed dynamically. They are often referred to as canvas filters because they go on the report. So we're going to go over a few examples of slicers. So first we have our data here in a table. And to add a slicer, we're going to go over to visualizations and pick slicer. And it's in our report. And for the first type of slicer we're going to do is a text slicer. So over here we can add the fields, and what we're going to add is product category. So we're going to drag that over into our field. And you see here we have the 4 product categories for this report: accessories, bike, clothing, and components. So if we select clothing, our report is now filtered down to clothing. And components, we now only have components. And if we want to select more than one item, we hit Control, and we'll have clothing added back in, and then we can add accessories. Now, if we want to reset everything, we just go up here and we check select clear selections, and everything will be back in our report. And over here we have types of slicers. So for this text, we have an option of list or drop down. So let's change it to drop down. And now we have all, and then we have the selections, and we just select. And what this is good for is if you want to leave some space and not have everything listed out, you can just have your slicer here, and then you open it and you filter as needed. So again, if you want to add more than one, you choose it, and then it's added to the report. So let's change this back and all, and go back to list. And one more feature we have here is that we could have subcategories in our filter. So for this data set, we have product categories, and then we have product subcategories. So we could take our product subcategory and drop it underneath product category. And now you see we have little drop down under each category, and that's showing our product categories. So let's expand this so we can see. And we have accessories, bikes, and all their subcategories, clothing, and components. So here, let's pick accessories, and then within your group, you can select or unselect items. Then if you want to add another group, say clothing, you hit Control and then select clothing, and then you can again select or unselect what you want from clothing. And again, if we want something from components, we hit Control, and then we could select and unselect from there. And then once you select, you can add and remove. But if you want to add a new group, then you need to hit Control. Otherwise, it resets all of your selections. So again, if you want to pick, hit Control, and then next one, and then you can select and unselect within your groups. So that's it for text. Now let's move on to another type of slicer. We will pick numbers. So here we're going to add another slicer and make this smaller. And for this slicer, we're going to use order quantity. So we're going to pick order quantity and move it over. And right now we have a slider. So we can slide down the quantity, and let's order it so we can see it a little bit easier. And so once we move it down more, we only get the quantities that we have in a slider. So again, we can move it down more, and we can clear the selections, and it'll go back. And here we have some options. So we have, again, the drop down. We have the list in the drop down. So if we have the list, then it'll be a much longer set of items to select. And the drop down, again, it will be a bit longer. And then we have between, which was our slider. And then there's less than or equal to, which will filter out everything underneath that number. So again, and then there's greater than or equal to, which will pick everything greater than your current point on the slider. So those are the options for a number. So we'll leave it at between. And then the next type of slider we can do is for dates. So for this, we're going to choose this slider. We're going to choose order date. And we have, again, a slider, and it's between. So again, we can move the dates down to a particular date set. And let's just, so we can see everything's 5/1/2014. And also, again, we have before a date, so we can pick everything before this date. And then we have after a date, which will pick everything after a date. We have the list again, so you could pick individual dates if you had a smaller list. It would be good. Again, here you hit Control, and you can pick everything from these particular dates. You have a drop down, which again, you can pick your dates, more dates by Control. And you have relative date, and this relative date is you're picking a date within a range. So this is last one, and then you select weeks, months, or years. So here I think everything is pretty old. So if I pick the last 2 years, I will have nothing. But if I have the last, I think, 7 years, then I get 2014, 2020. Okay, so we get 2013 also from 2020. So let's change that to 6 years and see if we get rid of. So yep, it'll get rid of everything, but we don't have anything for after after September 9th in 2014, ends in May. So that's the slider, the slicer for the date. You have a few options. So we also have last, next month, and this month, or this year, whichever you're picking. And also, let's go back. For between, you have the option to write in your dates. I can put 5/1 or 4/1, and it will select 4/1. And also, as you saw, we can pick the dates on the calendar. And also, there's a drop down for the years and the month, making it a bit easier than clicking all the way back through each year. And so that is it for slicers. So we went over text slicers, number slicers and date slicers.